There's the thing you and I were talking about there is range sheep. And you were telling me that, well, you don't have any, or you don't. Well, obviously, even if you did have some and you school them a little bit, well, they'd lose their characteristics, wouldn't they? They'd get kind of normal again. How do you prepare for going out in trials with range sheep? How do you get clever to that? Like,
Are you religious?
well, or go back a second now. Say a fellow like me comes over to Meeker with my dog, for talk's sake. Now, say I could just go over there now at the end of the summer, and I was ready to run my dog. How would a fella prepare for a range sheep? Like, they interest me because it just seem like completely different sort of an animal. And a lot of the things that you take for granted here about breeding sheep don't apply with range sheep. You've got to handle them differently.
Well, I mean, certainly you wouldn't. I mean, I've ran my share on range sheep, but I wouldn't know as much about them as, you know, a lot of the people that are around them all the time. The, you know, Don Helsley and Joni Teachin and I'm assuming Haley's around range sheep a lot. So I can't profess to be the expert on that. But my own experience is your dog had better not be scared to cover. So basically, for one thing with range sheep, I've never been one on getting a dog to stop and wait for next command anyway. So sometimes against, you know, maybe it works against me as well sometimes, but I always, the job comes first. Don't lose a sheep because because it's told to lay there until they break. So I think first of all, to be prepared is you either better be right on track with giving the whistle exactly at the right time before they break, or your dog better know it doesn't lose a sheep and just ignore to cover and then try to get the control again on your dog. But their range sheep are, you know, they're a different animal. They're fleeing or fighting. They're not generally, I haven't seen any that are really, really aggressive towards a dog as a whole. I don't think I would put it that way unless they've been harried a lot. But they flee a lot. You know, I don't know if when you don't need quite as powerful a dog as I think maybe the legend has it with range sheep, but you need a savvy dog, and you certainly need a dog with enough, but you don't need one that's, you know, causing trouble either. But first of all, they have to break, and they have to, if they're sent for 5, they better bring 5, not the one that goes too fast just keeps. They better stay on it, because one might take off from the 4 and go for 150 yards.
Yeah.
Yes, and not mess around. 100 miles an hour.
And yeah, because see, when I look at range sheep or I look at videos of Meeker and all, I think this thing's like a bloody lucky draw. So whoever picks the good sheep just gets, you know, that I was sort of left with the impression that the handler didn't have quite as much influence over his success maybe as with more normal sheep or commercial sheep. And so it looks to me like it's a little bit, like you said, when they go, it's nearly like a little bit of pinball. We tap them there and then we catch them back over on the other side. And that's what I wondered was, how much influence does a handler have? And like, then I see you win it and you're consistently there. So I know it's not just luck.
Well, myself, I think it's a lot. Obviously, they've got to do as they're told. I mean, to a degree, short of what I said before, you don't lay there and watch a sheep get away. They better know they can go. If you need them to stay stopped, you blow them another. But, I mean, prepared, they have to be trained, but they also have to know, you know, to cover more than anything, just to break and cover. Because if they don't take an open flank on those ones that are starting to run off to the side, if it's not a decent flank, they better go darn fast to get to the head of them, or just going faster and faster.
So what happens with people, sometimes maybe their flanks aren't trained clean enough in their dog, or their dog is not free enough to go when he's told, or what when you say, you know, they better be able to do that, what happens, what are people's dogs not doing that's giving them trouble? Like, is it that they're a bit tight when they do go and they push the sheep on, or what?
Well, I think, you know, it's maybe a combination of both. Is that the dog is just not used to that kind of a violent reaction from the sheep.
Yes.
So it, you know, it maybe just tightens them up some short term, or, you know, and sometimes I think the dog's just flat. You know, they're just flat, maybe not trained to take an open flank.
Yes.
You know, and they just, but even the ones that are surprised, I mean, of course, one thing that's arguably, for me at least, on those range sheep, what's maybe worse than a tight flank is one that's an empty flank. An empty flank on those running sheep is just is difficult.
What's an empty flank?
Oh, an empty flying, just given to the sheep. There's nothing in behind it.
Oh, you mean getting
So the sheep
being
run.
pushed off a little bit?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Um, and then the other thing I hear about with range sheep, and I kind of find this exciting. I'd love to run on them sometime. Is when people talk about catching their eye and not flanking them too much and not doing this and not that it's not so much that. Well, I sort of have the impression that it's not so much about power that if they turn around and start facing your dog, you're kind of in trouble. That even if you do have power, like it's better to try and avoid that. Can you explain to me a bit about that? Because that's the impression I'm getting, is to try not to catch their eye, however that works. Or do you need a certain kind of dog to help with that?
Well, I mean, I suppose there'll be 100 different opinions on what sort of a dog you need. But one thing is, yeah, you don't want to be catching their eye too much. You start catching their eye, they might go off of it a lot if your dog catches their eye and react to where that dog is by moving, in the opposite direction. But if you keep doing it, when they start turning, just like you said, if they turn on your dog, it really doesn't matter how much power it has. It's got itself into some trouble. I
Mm.
mean, we've all seen over there. I'm sure it's the same too. There's always dogs that seem to either turn sheep on them, or dogs that make it look easy. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody, like I've certainly seen some people run early on? My God, they're lucky. They're lucky. They're
They're
lucky.
lucky, yeah.
But you're not that lucky. Everybody gets lucky once in a while, but the same people always get lucky.
Yeah, you got the sheep of the day, Scott. You got the best sheep of
Exactly.
the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but one of the dogs I'd won Soldier Hollow with was a little bitch named Bliss, and she was a tremendous dog on the head,
Mm.
just tremendous. But the only problem is she liked to fight too much.
Yes.
She didn't mind, and she liked catching her eye. And I mean, I suppose if I'd have kept her instead of sold her, I would have been working on her not catching the eye quite so much. But she was a little difficult because she liked the confrontation a
Mm.
lot more than me. She looked brilliant doing it, but it was scary to see
Well,
all the time.
it's funny how when you change your perspective, what you're looking at can be different. Dennis Burchell has one that I like, and he often says maybe you end up in that situation where the dog has got into a fight with one sheep and it's reversing it back up, and people are there saying, "Oh, look at the great dog," and Dennis Burchell is saying, "If it was such a great dog, it wouldn't have got into that situation, and it caused the problems that you're saying is great." Like, and
Yeah.
it sounds to me with range sheep that you can often cause the problem. And yeah, it's great your dog is reversing up the sheep, and that's brilliant now. But it's game over. You're out of the game. Like, you're out of the money.
Well,
But
exactly. I mean, it's a quality. I think it's a real admirable quality, and certainly a quality we all want, but not one that they should. If they're doing it all the time, they're lacking something else or putting too much into it. It's nice to have that quality, but it won't win you much. And even at home, it's not that, is it? I mean, if you've
it's
got
putting
something to
work
do,
on you probably.
they're just putting, well, whether they're fighting for, unless they're a lamb or sick, they're stressed. So a dog's
Yeah.
stressing no sheep.
And then, like you said, if you kept Bliss, well, you had to kind of work on that. So how would you work on that? Would you open up the distance, or how do you change? How do you stop her getting into that trouble?
I just sold her.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
turned out she was a fantastic dog for the woman too.
yeah.
Sadly she died. She died the year that she had the most points on a dog ever. She succumbed to cancer.
Yeah.
But no, I first, I think, yeah, myself, well, just get them so they don't mind looking at butts, for one thing, that they can enjoy butts too. So I mean, that might let them, for me, I'm, tending to maybe live on the edge a little more than I should with some of the dogs. Is if I can teach them that it's fun to grab a heel or something, that might be the incentive to not always look for a fight at the head. Of course, then I might be, instead of backing them up, I get called on a cheap shot on the butt. But
Yeah.
give them something. If you're trying to take something away, you can take it away, but if you take it away without giving them something else, I mean, there's not an incentive for them. Of course, I mean, as we all know, there's some dogs that are going to be better followers, and some aren't going to be good followers. They're always wanting to get to the head. But basically, and open the flanks up so they can't sneak around there quite so much.
Mm.
So easy.
That's interesting
more
there. Now,
work.
what you're saying about, you know, maybe letting them grab a heel or something instead and giving them something else if you're taking something away. But I want to talk to you about that now because I'm a little bit out of my depth there with that.